And Phil Steele is high on Iowa. We had a live conversation with Phil Steele at 1:00 on the main channel, and he made some comments about Iowa. Go watch the full conversation, or if I get a chance, I will select those and we'll post those here on the Iowa channel.
So can you kind of give us a brief summation of that? I mean, I'm going to go back and watch that because I need to watch it live, but I'm curious as to what he said.
So we had our full discussion, like 35 minutes. And then right at the end, I said, let me hit you up on one more theme. I said, this, again, the great aberration of college football that we all know. And then he actually defended Iowa's offense.
No,
he defended their performance over the last 5 years or so. And I was like,
how?
Well, he jumped quickly to 2020 because I said this has been a bottom 5 offense in the country in the past few years. Was
that's not true. Last couple of years.
What was it in? Okay, well, we'll skip 2020, short season. What were they in 2019? They were
not bottom 5.
95th.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I just made the comment, as I've made to you many times, couldn't one of us be the offensive coordinator and just randomly, hit plays on the sideline and produce more yardage than they do? And he likes their offensive line. He, of course, likes the Eric All edition. And, of course, Cade McNamara. So nothing earth-shattering there, but he believes that they're going to be significantly improved. And he thinks it's a neck-and-neck race between Iowa and Wisconsin in the West.
I've never done this before, Mark, but I got somebody at my door.
Sure. Hold absolutely. We will take it on from here. Let's see what we've got, folks. In the chat. Yeah, I have not looked into the edition here, Phil Steele's 23 preview. I don't know if there's a place in here where he actually predicts records, but yeah, let's see where Iowa shows up on in terms of unit rankings. Rushing offense, I don't see. Passing offense, okay, that certainly cannot be. That cannot be accurate.
Rushing offense in 2020 was quite impressive.
Yeah, well, I was trying to go back to some of these statistics, some of these rankings he has. You have to kind of read up on the various the definition to really understand what am I looking at here. MIP, whatever that stands for, my something projected. He is Iowa listed as the 4th passing offense in the country, so that's obviously not correct. Louisville's number 1, New Mexico, Wisconsin, Iowa. So I don't know what that is.
The Iowa and New Mexico are making a huge jump this year, Mark.
Look at this. I don't know if you can see this. Then it's got MIP points. Well, you probably can't see it here.
That's the Phil Steele magazine?
Yes. MIP offensive points, Iowa number 1. Now, this is obviously, this may be some kind of improvement. Yes, I bet it has to do with improvement. He is expecting Iowa to have the most improved offensive points performance in the country. That's what that has to be.
MIP.
Most improved team. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Although I can't find that
on his website right now. That's what it is. Most improved. So he's got them as his most improved passing offense in the country?
4th.
And points per game, the most improved?
Yeah, so I guess from their whatever they averaged last year, what was it, like 21 points, 23 points, whatever it was.
Tell you what, buddy boy, is that fair game to post a segment? Because you need to post that thing. You need to talk about that on a cut. That's pretty insane. Number 1 in the country?
Yeah, we'll have to dive into this. There's a lot. Yeah, shoot, I could be producing videos from now until game 1 and beyond.
Yes, you should hire a field. just a guy who can look at the Phil Steele magazine just to give you video ideas.
Is Iowa going to finish in the top 25 according to him?
He's got Wisconsin. According to Mike, he's got Wisconsin
17.
Jackson says they're winning the West. Wisconsin is. He's got Iowa 17th.
He's got Iowa 17.
Where's Wisconsin then?
Wisconsin is 13. He's high on
wow.
them.
Oh my goodness.
Now these are
schedule.
This is putting the schedule to the talent. Now he's got a power poll that's just so. For example, he believes that Ohio State's better than Michigan, but he has Michigan winning the East because they have a much easier schedule. They play the game at home. So this is taking those light Wisconsin-Iowa schedules into account.
Very much into account. That's the highest prediction I've seen for Wisconsin. Is Wisconsin even in the preseason polls? Doesn't really have official preseason polls.
Yeah, it has yet to come out.
I would be surprised if they are. To me, they're fringe top 25. They're certainly not. Again, I know you're projecting forward, and if they end up, let's be honest, if Wisconsin ends up 9-3, they're probably a top 20 team at the end of the year. As far as ranking, not say I think a 20th best team, but he's not ranking the teams, right? He's projecting what their ranking will be based on what he thinks will happen in the season. Is that fair?
First of all, my preseason rankings are not power ratings. These rankings take into account the totality of the circumstances that I feel each team will face, such as schedule strength, foes, schedules, coming off buys, experience edges at the start of the year, and so forth. My top 40 is based on where I project the teams to finish in the final rankings and have always done quite well. He's got the best predictions. Of course, he's doing the math. I don't know if there's another publication that does it differently, but he says I'm number one, and he's got all the. Have you ever looked through his magazine?
I haven't. I've researched it online, but I've never actually.
Oh my goodness! It's 350 pages long, and it's more like, I'm being serious, 3,500 pages long, because everything's small print, and it's written in code. It's not like written in English per se.
It's basically all he does, isn't it? Isn't he basically, when the season's over, he starts working on the next one? It has to be.
Yeah, he's it's just insane what he let me know that he watches, and he seems to be up on what we do, which is nice. So like let me read the Iowa quarterbacks section. He goes back a couple of years to kind of bring the story into context of where they stand now. This unit had 11 career. Here's another thing. You've got to understand the code. This unit had 11 career ATTs. That must be attempts into 2020. And Spencer Petras, who was his 70th rated quarterback coming out of high school, threw for 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 picks, 57%. In 21, Petras hit 60.7%, 9-2 TD to pick ratio after 6 games, and Iowa was number 2 AP. Yeah, okay. He hit just 53%, 1-7 touchdown to pick ratio, as you well know after that. Alex Padilla started 3 games, 3-0, but was just 23 of 55, 41%. And Petras started the last 2. Redshirt freshman Joey Labus, his 60th rated quarterback coming out of high school, was impressive on the scout team in 21. Last year, Petras, 20-11 as starter, threw for 17-25, 56%, 5 touchdowns, 5 picks, and Padilla, 21-43, 173, 1 TD, 2 picks. Labus started the bowl. When Cade McNamara, 16 starts at Michigan, hit the portal, I thought Iowa was the perfect home for him, and he landed here. McNamara threw for 25-76, 64%, 15 touchdowns, 6 picks with Michigan in 21, and will be the first quarterback to top 60% completions here since 2015. That's his quarterback section. That's just one little deal out of
Why though? What? I'm just curious, because I agree with him. I think Cade is a perfect fit for Iowa, and I think Iowa is a perfect fit for Cade to an extent, given his personality and whatnot. But does he give a reason why he thought that they were because he's talking about Cade eclipsing the 60 mark in completion. That may happen, but that doesn't happen very often in the Iowa offense, even with some of Iowa's better quarterbacks.
In
That
this
doesn't happen
day and
very often.
age, my goodness, that's not even that great.
I know, but
60%.
it's the Iowa offense, and this wide receiver. We've talked about the wide receiver course, still not much of any experience, minus Nico. Listen, this, you know what it comes down to? If they're going to make the improvement, if they're going to be the fourth most improved passing offense in the country, let's be honest. Can we just, as much as we both say they need to improve the wide receiver room and get wide receivers more involved and whatever, that's all true. But you know what it comes down to? Two guys, Eric All and Luke Lachey. I mean, that is what, that if there's anything you trust Brian with, it's figuring out how to utilize tight ends. And he has got two really, really good tight ends.
Yeah. If they played in any other division, I would disagree with you and say some receiver has to step up and catch 45 or 50 passes. But maybe in that division, that
I'd look. Well, I'm curious to go back and look at the passing numbers in 2018. Do you have those? Can you go back and how do we find
sure.
those?
Oh, you gotta, Corey, my favorite site.
Go back and look at passing numbers from 2018 because that was the Hawkinson Fant year. I'm just curious. I know the offense, where about the offense was ranked in 18, but I'd be curious to look at specifically passing offense.
I'm sorry to step on you. Let's post it on the. Introduce you to my favorite site. This is, and I don't even know what exactly the site is called. Pull up the screen right here. We've got the 2018 Hawkeye stats. What is the name?
By the way, Phil
Sports Reference.
Yes,
go ahead.
Phil Steele's got Iowa State as one of his 6 favorite games in week 2, and he's got it as a pick'em.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think Iowa's considerably better, but you know the history of that game and because of the offenses and where the game's being played. And
I don't know if
look at what happened last year. Okay. We can see the stats there, right? There we go.
Yeah, look at that. Nate Stanley, 59%. And he had 2 of the best tight ends to ever play at Iowa and a pretty darn experienced group of receivers.
Well, he was kind of that guy, though. He was hit or miss. Yeah, and he really loved to throw it downfield, too.
Well, he didn't throw it downfield well.
Well, your percentage is going to go down the more you throw it downfield. So here are the receivers. You got Smith Marset with 23 catches, 3 touchdowns. There you got Nick Easley.
Okay, this is 28-29.
So you got to go to the second set of numbers here. That's the receiving numbers. Nick Easley, 52.
519 yards for Fant, 760 for Hawkinson. Smith with 361. But I'm just curious, where does that passing offense rank nationally? That's what I wanted to know.
Oh, okay. We can look that up too.
The reason I say that is because I cannot imagine a scenario where I agree with you. They have to have some level of receiver involvement that they did not have. I mean, last year there was almost nothing as far as receiver involvement. I thought Nico Reganey played really well, when he came back. But even Arlen Bruce hardly was involved as the season went on.
Did you say 18 or 19?
2018.
Sorry. Okay, 2018. Here you go. Well, Washington State, Mike Leach, Ohio State. So this is in terms of yards per game, and we can go to any metric and size it up.
Yards per game.
Okay. Yes, passing yards per game.
No, I'm fine with that metric for this.
Iowa 72.
Yeah, that's not bad, right?
Well, it's a little less than average. Yeah. Oh, it's really good. Yeah, if they finish 72 this year.
But I guess the reason I bring 18 up, they had 2 exceptional tight ends and more experience at receiver. If they can get that level of receiver production this year, and I don't know that they can, but if they can, I think that's probably the ceiling. I mean, could you argue McNamara is maybe a better option than Nate Stanley was in 18? Sure. But I mean, Hawkinson and Fant tore it up that year through the air, and they still finished outside the top 70.
I thought this stat was going to give more positive spin on the previous stat, 72nd in the country in passing yardage. But they threw it's the 65th most amount. So they actually got a little bit less from those attempts.
Isn't that interesting? They threw more than they threw more than
Yeah, they were about average. They were about middle, 65.
yeah.
Let's
That's
see what the
interesting.
passer rating was. Look at Alabama 1, Oklahoma 2, Ohio State 3, Iowa
Passer rating
3.
couldn't have been very good if Nate was 59. How about that? You missed
Oh,
it.
I missed it. There it is. Okay.
Huh. That's actually higher than I would have expected.
Well, again, I think he got a lot of yardage out of those completions. I think.
So I think that's the marker, Mark. No pun intended. That is the marker because I just don't know with the receiving core the way it is. I don't know how you are better at tight end than you were in 18. If anything, you can aspire to be as good or as close to as good. So if they can end up being top 80 in passing offense, that's probably a good thing. Now, if we're looking at just yards per game, I'm talking collectively. Those metrics that all three of those metrics that you just showed on the screen are all good indicators. And obviously, you got to be able to run the football because that's going to open up the passing game. But I just think, I still struggle to imagine that the wide receiving core can be better than 17, 18, 19, those years with Smith, Marset, and Smith based on inexperience. I don't think Seth Anderson and Caleb Brown just immediately come in here and become all Big Ten guys. I just don't see that happening.
So last year they were 123 in yardage.
In passing yardage?
Passing yardage,
Ooh.
123.
Woof.
Completion percentage.
That's bad. Well, we've said this how many times, but
Passing yard or completion percentage. Where are they? 112. And then this touchdown to interception ratio is just 7-7 last year. So they were, when you look at the number one team in the country in passing touchdowns with 43, and then we go down to Iowa with 7, there were only 3 teams in the country that threw less touchdown passes. Army, which runs the ball every play, that threw 104 passes to Iowa's 349. UMass and New Mexico, 2 horrendous teams.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fascinating. And I am curious. I think you ought to publish some content on that Phil Steele stuff. That's fascinating. I hadn't heard any prediction. And he's obviously, he's not just some random dude, right? He knows what he's talking about. That's an interesting, eye-opening projection. We'll see.
Okay. 11-1. You were thinking 11-1. No, you were thinking.
I didn't say that.
No, you said you were considering it, or it was your ceiling, correct?
Absolutely. Well, no, the ceiling's 12. Ceiling's 12-0.
Yeah. Okay.
The ceiling's 12-0, Mark. Let's be honest here. No, I'll be making my predictions once we hit probably mid-August.
If they're coming down the street, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, based on previous conversations, if they come down the stretch undefeated, you may become an ardent viewer of Colin Cowherd. Start to pick up on his.
I don't know now that they've expanded to 9 games in the conference, and although the schedule is weak this year, relative, and he's always guys like Colin Cowherd are very selective, right? They're going to pick what's convenient. So yeah, that could happen. The good news is Wisconsin and Iowa. Good news for the conference and for perception is Wisconsin and Iowa, I think, have an equally easy schedule, relatively speaking.
If they get past Penn State.
Yeah, and Wisconsin, I know it has nothing to do with the Big Ten, but Wisconsin goes on the road to Washington State. Iowa goes on the road to Iowa State. Those are comparable games.
Yeah. Yes. Go to Penn
Although
State.
I'd rather travel 2 hours west than 20 hours. I know they're flying, but I mean, a little bit of a difference playing in, is it Pullman?
Yes.
A little bit of a difference playing in Ames and Pullman.
If there's a team that has swayed my thinking more than any other team in the Big Ten over the last, not just based on media days, but just based on things I'm hearing and looking into, and I really need to do a deep dive, it's who would you think?
Illinois.
Bam. Yes.
Yeah. I said that to you yesterday, too. Illinois and Purdue. Those are the two teams that I walked, at least from what I gathered, surmised from what I heard at media days and just talking with you and different people. Purdue might be a little bit better than I gave them credit for. We'll see. It's going to be honestly, it's going to be just like every other year has been in this division, Mark. People are going to say it's the weaker of the divisions, but I think it's going to be a really entertaining division.
I love the division. I'm sorry to see it go. I love the. Of course, it's the weaker of the divisions. Of course it is, but that's fine. There has to be a weaker of the divisions.
But you know what? If we used Levi Stevenson, his method at evaluating a division or conference, we could just take out Ohio State and Michigan,
yes,
and weigh everything else evenly.
That's right. So Illinois, they play Penn State at home. So that's they get their Penn State game just like Iowa, but they get theirs at home. Fox noon game, week 3.
Who are their other crossovers?
Love it. At Maryland, not going to be easy.
Tough one. Very tough one.
Indiana at home.
Okay. That's a fairly favorable schedule, but at Maryland is not easy.
Yeah.
But they're going to get Penn State early. So there's a young quarterback traveling on the road early. Who knows what the environment in Champaign is going to be like, but
yeah. It's no Kinnick, of course.
And so Penn State will become that was week 3?
Yes.
Okay, so Iowa will play them the following week. Iowa gets them on the rebound from Illinois then.
Oh, Penn State, yeah.
Penn State week 4, yeah.
Illinois, this is not easy. They play Toledo, which might be the best team in the MAC in week 1. Then they go to Kansas, and then they play Penn State.
It's interesting. Kansas is going to be a test. Is that fair?
Sure they will. That's a
toss-up. They're no longer an FCS caliber Power 5 team.
Not at all.
I was surprised how low in the real quick, Mark. I was just surprised at some of the projections. The preseason Big 12 projections had Kansas basically as bottom feeders. I was surprised by that, given some of the other preseason expectations for personnel, like their quarterback and some other skill position players. Like they've got some preseason all Big 10 guys, and they're not getting much love.
You said Kansas.
I'm talking about Kansas.
Yeah.
Where were they projected to finish?
By the media?
Yes, by the media. Well, I think it was by the media.
I think let's see. Maybe 9th or 10th. Phil Steele has them.
Okay, I got it right here.
41st. That's not bad.
Okay, you're right. 9th. But the only teams below them are Iowa State, BYU, Houston, Cincinnati, and West Virginia.
Yeah.
They've got Central Florida ahead of Kansas. They've got Oklahoma State ahead of Kansas. Man, one person voted Oklahoma State as winning the conference. That's interesting. I don't know anything about Baylor. Yeah, I mean, Big 12 is not bad until they lose Oklahoma and Texas. Then I start to wonder. But anyways.
Erica, thank you so much for the contribution. We appreciate you reminding everyone to gently press the like button. Go Hawks! Lemansky coming back. Thank you so much for that. I think play calling will be under a microscope in 23.
Yeah, it's been under a microscope for a while, and it should continue to be.
It certainly should be. If I could clone myself a number of times, I would love to go hyper focused on this Iowa season this year. But of course, that's why we have you.
What, am I not doing a good enough job, Mark?
Well, of course you're doing a good enough job. You're doing a great job. But I'm talking about from my own personal approach to what I do. We both do this, but we do it in different ways. And yeah, I'm not going to be watching. Who are they playing week 1? Utah State. We'll show up for our show on Tuesday, and I may have seen 0. I may have seen, well, I will have seen a handful of plays. for sure. And maybe I'll watch the condensed version. Usually try to do that.
I may be at that season opener game. So
Nice.
we'll see. Sold out, Mark. They sold out the season
I
opener
saw
already.
that. Like the first 4 or 5 games, right?
Yeah, I can't. It's pretty amazing. Now, fans are passionate, but remember, what was it, 7, 8 months ago, we said, they're probably not going to sell out next year because they got a worse home schedule and they didn't make any staff changes. Never mind. This is what gives the powers that be the power that be to continue to double down on people.
We will sign off here, but Big Ten related, not Iowa related. We heard from the head of officiating in college football who said that the Marvin Harrison hit should have been, this is big for him to say, should have been a targeting personal foul. Ohio State 1st and goal at the 3 instead of kicking a field goal against Georgia to extend its lead to 3 scores. That's what should have been the call.
And I know you didn't ask him this, but what you should have asked him is, okay, now tell me about 2015, George Kittle getting hit in the end zone in the Big Ten championship game. Should that have been targeting? Because if it had been, Iowa would have set up inside the 3-yard line and had 1st and goal and would have scored a touchdown. Totally changes the game. Instead, they walked away with 0 points.
First of all, he may not have been the head of officiating 7 years ago, number one. Number two, we're talking about that play may have decided the national championship.
Okay, well, that play may have decided the Big Ten championship in 2015.
Yeah, and either one of those teams would have and did get
You
killed.
don't know that, Mark. Don't be tossing out stuff you don't know. Iowa may have went and routed Alabama. You don't know, Mark.
Okay.